Now Sigtuna is, I think we've got to link that up there, Trev, as well. Sigtuna, again, is one of those breweries that really has taken the step up. A couple of years ago, there's no doubt that Sigtuna was in trouble as far as I was concerned as a beer drinker. There was a lot of problems, I thought, with infected beer, some very odd sort of flavours coming through, and then they did, I think, a genius stroke. They hired a guy called Matthias Hammerlind, the hard-rocking brewer at Sigtuna. The guy, Matthias, big shout out to you. The guy is really is a visionary when it comes to brewing in this country. He's come up with some crazy sort of combinations. Some of them are just completely odd beers, but he's really pushing the envelope, really, as far as beers are concerned in this country. Good luck to him. This beer is an American Pale Ale in style. It's 26.90, Systembolaget article number 1338. Can you see that? Have you zoomed in on this? Can you see it?
Yep, gotcha, mate. Okay.
Now the difference between this beer, and the reason I thought it was so good when I first tried it, actually I was lucky enough to be at the brewery, sitting opposite the table to Matthias when I tried it, was that it's actually brewed using two different types of hops that I've never actually had the combination of before. Both of them are sort of southern hemisphere hops. One Pacific Gem, that's a pretty common hop that you'll find in a lot of beers, but the other one is called Riwaka. I love the sound of that. I love the sound of that, Trev. Riwaka hops. Wakaka. It's a very unusual hop, but it's a kind of hop that's gaining popularity in the south, in the southern hemisphere. In fact, a lot of people are saying that, you know, it's calling out Cascade. It's basically saying, look, I'm just as fruity, I'm just as tropical as you are. It's got a lot of intense sort of nose to it, and a great little bitterness that comes through. Riwaka, I'm telling you now, let's mark the date. Riwaka is a hop that you need to look out for. If more brewers can put a little bit of Riwaka in their beer, then I'll be very, very happy. This is the first time I've tried it with Pacific Gem. Now, pouring this one up, you can see, again, lovely head, slightly paler in terms of the colour, very sort of Eastery, sort of yellow, not quite as orange, but golden, I would say, colour to this beer. You see that? Beautiful. The sunlight, we could have timed this even better, Trevor, but the sunlight streaming through, actually, it's beautiful. Now, the nose on this beer, different to Oppigård, good different. It's got a almost like oily sort of nose to it, very thick, and again a lot of tropical fruit there. I'm getting a bit of lychee, I'm getting tropical fruit, not so much grapefruit to be honest with you, more sort of mango, those sorts of flavours, those sorts of aromas. Let's give it a whirl. Always give it a whirl. Very important to whirl your beer. Someone asked me about that a bit earlier on. You know, why do you whirl your beer? You know, why do you give it a swirl? Well, I do it because, of course, it releases a lot of the aromas. It's important to do. It's not. It looks a little bit odd. I don't recommend that you swirl your beer everywhere. If you're down the pub with your mates, you know, and you've got your pint of, you know, Store Stark, and don't whirl it because you just look a bit stupid, to be honest with you. But if you're at home, you like this, do a little beer tasting. You're at home, you have a quiet little private moment. Whirl it because it makes a huge difference. It means you can really get inside the beer. Now I'm getting a funny smell, and I got this actually last night, and I was hoping I wouldn't get it again. Getting a slightly, well, say hoping, but it's unusual, getting a slight mineral quality to this, and it's almost a bit seasidey as well. Kind of like, a little bit like an oyster shell, with a little bit of the oyster water still in it. Now, that doesn't sound good in a beer.
Sounds a bit mank.
Yeah, it doesn't, I agree. But it's actually, it gives a little bit of edge to it. It's actually quite crisp. It's almost sort of mineral, a bit Burton-y. Quite nice. That married with the melon and the mango makes for quite an interesting nose to it. Lovely taste of the beer, very balanced. Apple. We've gone tropical, and suddenly I'm getting all cooking apple. I'm getting cooking apple, and and I know this is going to sound a little bit odd, almost like the stems of apples. Almost like you can chew the stem of an apple. You're getting that almost sort of fibrous sort of quality to the beer. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense, Trevor?
No.
No, okay, good.
Not to me.
Okay, but musty apples, that sort of thing, but in a good way, and it's got a lovely bitterness to it. This has got a lot of legs in it, this beer. There's a lot of flavour going on, a nice journey across the tongue. It has a mid-palate. I think where Oppigård slightly loses it for me is that it hasn't got that transition from the sweetness at the front to the mid-palate, and I think this beer does it. Okay, it's a little bit light, but then of course it's an Easter beer, and I think it's supposed to be that. It's quite refreshing. It's invigorating stuff. That oyster shell thing is freaking me out a little bit, but the finish superb on this beer. Superb.
That shellfish thing, is that exactly the same smell as you felt yesterday? You smelled the same yesterday?
It is. I got it a little bit yesterday. In fact, I got it quite powerfully when I opened the beer. Now here's the thing. When I open these beers, in fact when you open any type of beer, these beers benefit from being left out of the fridge for a few minutes to warm up. Don't just take them out of the fridge and drink them. Because if you let this beer warm up, remember these are both ales. Now American pale ales, obviously, they're normally drunk colder than English ales. But both of these beers really benefit from half an hour, 20 minutes outside of the fridge to warm up a little bit, because when they're cold they get a little bit aggressive, I think, in terms of their bitterness. Some of the smells coming through. And here I've deliberately left these out for sort of 10-15 minutes, and it makes a hell of a difference. It's still there, a little bit of that sort of mineral quality to it, but I like that, I like that. Score, Trev.
Cheers and all that.
Score. Well, I think that we're going to get, I feel the same actually. I think 3.5, 4, something like that. I think it's a solid beer. It's not the sort of beer that I'm going to wake up in the morning and think, oh my god, this was the best beer day of my life, the best moment ever. Definitely not. But I do think it needs to be recognised as for what it is. Easter ale, Easter beers, they're both very, very solid buys. You can't go wrong with these. They're going to work incredibly well with the foods. So I think 2 thumbs up to Oppigård again. 2 thumbs up to Sigtuna. Getting a bit boring, isn't it? I keep giving these beers high ratings, but this is my point. There's some amazing beers being brewed in Sweden right now by some microbrewers in this country. So over the next few weeks we're going to be exploring some of the beers that are being brewed here, and we're going to bust a myth that Swedish beer is, you know, it's all dishwater. It's not anymore, and these are 2 great examples to kick BeerSweden Tea off with. BeerSwedenTV off with. Okay. This is not edited, by the way. This is not edited. None of this is edited. That stays in, Trev.
Tea off with TV.
Okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the first show. Not going to keep it too long. We've got lots to talk about in the future. We're going to be exploring not only beers, we're going to be exploring crazy stuff like what sort of glasses you should put your beers in. We're going to be exploring what sorts of foods go well with what sorts of beers. We're going to be doing battles of beers, Belgium versus the rest of Europe, and all sorts of stuff. If you've got any, this is important, if you've got any comments, well of course you've got comments, you're going to have comments, you're going to like this, you're going to hate it, whatever you feel about this episode of BeerSweden TV, please, down here underneath this video, write your comments down. Feedback, that's what it's all about. I want this to be good for you guys and girl. I want you to enjoy it. So I need your feedback, what you think of the show, what I can do to make it better, that sort of thing. Okay, so really it's a two-way thing, this. Let me know. I can take it. Be as nice or as nasty as you want to be. No problem for me. Hope you enjoyed the first episode. Looking forward to the next one. Until then, beers and cheers.